You are watching the Poor Boys Horology Podcast, the podcast for watch enthusiasts on a budget. Your host for today's podcast is Dr. Ed DeVries, an amateur horologist whose personal collection includes Timex, Rolex, and everything in between. If you are interested in dive watches, dress watches, designer watches, military watches, automatic watches, hand-winding watches, quartz watches, or pocket watches, the Poor Boys Horology Podcast is about to become your favorite podcast. So click like and subscribe. Then sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode of the Poor Boys Horology Podcast.
Why are you into watches? I know the reason why a lot of people are into watches, and that is nostalgia. That's why so many retro timepieces are so popular now. You know, Timex is bringing back its Marlin, and people are just buying them up, for example. Casio, for example, like the F91, it's just a classic timepiece, and it's still popular today. Rolex, the Submariner, has been the same for how many decades now? How many lifetimes? There's just something about that retro feel. There's something to a classic. There's something about it. And so, you know, that's why some of us still wear a wristwatch and not, you know, say like an Apple smartwatch. By the way, wristwatch check. I'm wearing my Casio Duro on the red NATO strap that was gifted to me at my birthday by our Poor Boys Horology Podcast viewer and subscriber, Jay Cook from Kansas City, Kansas. And so, once again, thank you, Jay, for this great gift, and that's my wristwatch check for today. But there's a reason I wear a watch like this, and I don't wear a smartwatch. There's just something about the look and the feel, and there's just something about a classic wristwatch, and the Duro is definitely a classic. And so what I want to do is I want to add a new segment to this show. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up some sentimental car commercials. And today's car commercial is going to be for a 1976 Maverick. You say, why did you pick the 1976 Maverick? Because that was my first car. Next month's Poor Boy Horology Podcast, we are going to have a commercial for a 1982 Chevrolet Chevette. You say, well, why did you pick that one? Because that was my second car. You see where we're going with this. Anyways, let's have these Ford commercials, and then we'll have a 45-second commercial from our friends at the Barnes Review. But the primary thing that I'm going to do in today's podcast is I am going to review Timex's newest offering, which I think is an overpriced piece of garbage. But you see it out on the screen there. What they did was they took a nice $15 watch, slapped a PACMAN graphic on it, and now they think that it's worth $89. Anyways, we'll be talking about that later in the show. Again, Timex is trying to milk people's sentimental value. They're trying to milk people's nostalgia of value, because that is, I believe, one of the main reasons why so many of us are into horology and the collecting of wristwatches.
See, you got a new Maverick, Bill.
Oh, so you got a new Volare.
Looks great.
Looks great.
Volare's got a classy vinyl interior.
Well, look at Maverick's classy vinyl interior.
Volare has split bench seats.
Maverick has reclining bucket seats.
Vinyl roof?
Vinyl roof.
Tinted glass.
Tinted glass, sure.
White sidewalls?
White sidewall, sure.
What's the sticker price on a new Maverick?
Maverick's a couple of $100 less than a comparable Volare.
I'm going for a new lawnmower tomorrow. Would you come with me, Bill?
Sure.
When America needs a better idea, Ford puts it on wheels.
The first 1970 model Ford Maverick has been honed, refined, and improved. Now Ford introduces the 1976 Maverick. Maverick, the family compact, economical to operate and service. In fact, in the last 3 years, scheduled maintenance costs of six-cylinder Mavericks have been reduced 40%. Dependable Ford Maverick, backed by 6 years of honing, refining, improving. The closer you look, the better we look.
Open your web browser and type in www.barnesreview.org and discover the Barnes Review magazine. In the Barnes Review, you will read vignettes of man, from the prehistoric to the very recent, from forgotten races and civilizations to first-person accounts of World War II and the late Cold War. There is no more interesting magazine published today, nor a more significant and important subject than real history. So visit www.barnesreview.org and subscribe to the Barnes Review. You can subscribe to receive the Barnes Review magazine in its print form, or in convenient electronic delivery. Our host has been a subscriber to both formats for years. So visit www.barnesreview.org and subscribe to the Barnes Review.
I guess we'll call those car commercials the time travel segment of our Horology podcast. After all, that is what horology is all about. It's about the keeping and the telling of time. And sometimes the telling of time is going back in time. And it's the nostalgia of going back in time that I think is what keeps us so interested in horology. Anyways, I'm going to show you another clip here. And this is a clip that I saw on the news here the other day. And it made me, what's that saying? Rolling on the floor, laughing my ass off. Anyways, and to think that there were some very powerful people who thought that it was in their best interest. You know, damn if they thought it was in the country's best interest. They never think that way. But they thought that it was in their best interest to put a clown in the White House. And anyways, a clown would be better at physical comedy than Joe Biden. The truth is there is absolutely nothing whatsoever that's funny about a senile old man tripping upstairs. And the truth is that I would have sympathy for Mr. Biden if he were a private citizen, just as I would for anybody else who suffers with dementia or who was having health problems in their older age. But Mr. Biden is not your ordinary senior citizen. Rather, he allowed himself to be the poster child of a stolen election, and now he's squatting in the executive mansion pretending to be the president of the United States of America and implementing an evil agenda, or at least allowing himself to be used to implement somebody else's evil agenda. And so it's kind of hard to be sympathetic towards somebody who is allowing himself to be the tool of the devil. Anyways, that's the sad state of affairs that we find ourselves in here in this once great land. You know, you might notice I've got my Maryland hat on today. One of my favorite songs, one that I've seldom been able to hear through the years of my life without coming to tears, is Maryland, My Maryland, the great state song of the state of Maryland, the old line state. The Maryland State Senate recently voted 45-0 to do away with their state song. I'm not so much pissed off that they did away with the state song, though that alone is more than enough to piss me off. But the fact that the vote was 45-0. You mean to tell me that there wasn't one damn member of the Maryland legislature who would stand for the old line? They are, after all, supposed to be the old line state. Not one single member of the Maryland State Senate who would vote for over 100 years of tradition. Not one single member of the Maryland State Senate who would vote to maintain their history and their heritage of their once great state. And so, in tribute to that which is about probably to go, I know Governor Hogan has resisted previous efforts to do away with the state song, but he's refusing to comment on this one. My fear is that he's going to sign this legislation. He's just looking for a way to kind of diffuse what he know will be a lot of the fallout from doing so. Anyways, if you're a Marylander, contact Governor Hogan. Ask him to keep the beloved state song, Maryland, My Maryland. We're going to play that great song going into the next break, which will be a 45-second commercial for the American Free Press, which, by the way, is also officed and headquartered in Maryland. and then we'll go to our review of the Timex PACMAN timepiece.
The despot's heel is on thy shore, Maryland, my Maryland. His touch is at thy temple door, Maryland, my Maryland. Avenge the patriotic gore that flecked the streets of Baltimore, and be the battle queen of yore, Maryland, my Maryland. Hark to a wandering son's appeal, Maryland, my Maryland. My mother state, to thee I kneel, Maryland, my Maryland. For life and death, for woe and weal, thy peerless chivalry reveal, and gird thy beauteous limbs with steel, Maryland, my Maryland. Thou wilt not cower in the dust, Maryland, my Maryland. Thy beaming sword shall never rust, Maryland, my Maryland. Remember Carroll's sacred trust, remember Howard's warlike thrust, and all thy slumbers with the just, Maryland, my Maryland. Come, for thy shield is bright and strong, Maryland, my Maryland. Come, for thy dalliance does thee wrong, Maryland, my Maryland. Come to thine own heroic throng that stalks with liberty along, and give a new key to thy song, Maryland, my Maryland. Dear mother, burst the tyrant's chain, Maryland, my Maryland. Virginia should not call in vain, Maryland, my Maryland. She meets her sisters on the plain, sic semper 'tis the proud refrain that baffles minions back amain, Maryland, my Maryland. I see the blush upon thy cheek, Maryland, my Maryland. But thou wast ever bravely meek, Maryland, my Maryland. But lo, there surges forth a shriek, from hill to hill, from creek to creek. Potomac calls to Chesapeake, Maryland, my Maryland. Thou wilt not yield the vandal toll, Maryland, my Maryland. Thou wilt not crook to his control, Maryland, my Maryland. Better the fire upon thee roll, better the blade, the shot, the bowl, than crucifixion on the soul, Maryland, my Maryland. I hear the distant thunder hum, Maryland, my Maryland. The old line's bugle, fife and drum, Maryland, my Maryland. She is not dead, nor deaf, nor dumb. Huzzah, she spurns the northern scum. She breathes, she burns, she'll come, she'll come. Maryland, my Maryland.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
If you're like me, and I'll bet you are, you like to be on the cutting edge of honest news and accurate information. 26 times a year, the American Free Press newspaper can be delivered to your door, packed with the kind of uncensored news that I know you're going to appreciate. If you're ever dissatisfied with your subscription to the American Free Press, their guarantee is that you just drop them an email and they will gladly refund the unused portion of your subscription. So what are you waiting for? Visit www.americanfreepress.net. Once again, www.americanfreepress.net. And find out about the American Free Press. Do it today.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Well, here we have this beautiful PACMAN packaging here. And Timex has done a really good job with the packaging. It's got the PACMAN board game there. And again, it's just a great packaging there. That's probably the highlight of this watch is the packaging. This review is going to go downhill from here really quick. Anyways, let's open this thing up here. And you'll see, again, more great packaging, that plastic there with the PACMAN logo. And then they've got this case in a really nice box. And you see here this watch is an $89 watch. This is a $15 watch, but I think because they slapped a PACMAN logo on it, they think that it's worth $89. And by the way, this is a plastic watch. It does have a metal band, but it's a plastic watch. You see here for $59, the Timex T80. That's exactly what this PACMAN watch is. It's a T80 with a PACMAN graphic placed on the face and on the clasp. And so here we're already down to $59. Now here we are for a T80 with a rainbow logo on it for $39. And again, so we've already dropped the price by $50 on the same watch. And now click over here. We're looking at a Casio. And this Casio is selling for about $24. And I would take the Casio over the Timex T80 any day. The truth is the Timex T80 were a $15 watch, it would be a deal. As a $19 watch, it would probably be a deal. But all they've done is they've basically taken a $15 watch. They've raised the price up to $89 because they slapped a PACMAN on it there. The Casio Duro, these Seiko 5s, these Vostoks, the G-Shock here you see for $40. All of these watches are half the price of this Timex PACMAN, which is nothing but a T80 that they slapped a PACMAN graphic on it, on the back there, on the front, all over the place. And here, even here on the clasp, which I gotta say is a nice little touch, but it doesn't justify charging $89 for a $59 or $39 watch. It would only be worth $15 to begin with. Anyways, you look at just a basic digital watch. You see there, you got the date, you got the time. You push the buttons, and you got a little stopwatch feature there, and that's it. I mean, these are the features on this watch. You don't have world time. You don't have any of the other features. You literally just have a time display. You have a date display. You have a stopwatch, and of course, you push this button here on the bottom right, and you got the Indiglo feature, which is standard pretty much on all Timexes now. And I will say that Timex does a good job with its Indiglo. A lot better brightness than a lot of other brands of watch. But again, you're looking at a Timex T80. They've jacked the price up to $89 just because they slapped some PACMAN graphics on it. Again, that's a plastic case watch that you're looking at there. You see a metal strap or metal bracelet, but the watch itself is plastic. And of course, look at that metal bracelet. It's going to yank the hairs off your wrist. It's a very poorly designed bracelet. They should have just put a plastic strap on it, folks, instead of that metal strap or metal bracelet on a plastic watch. Instead, you got a watch that's going to pull the arm hairs off. Anyways, back to the box. Maybe because of the packaging, this watch will become collectible one day. Still, I don't know. Given the fact that you got to pay $89 to buy this piece of junk, I just don't know that you're ever going to recover your investment. You know, it's a nice enough looking watch, I guess, with the PACMAN logo. If you're really into nostalgia, maybe $89 is worth it to you. It's definitely not worth it to me. And now we're going to break for a brief commercial from our friend Clint Lacey over at Foothills Media, and then we'll be back with some more of the Poor Boys Horology Podcast. Phone with our good friend Clint Lacey. So your newest project is you've started a publishing company, Foothills Media, and you'll be publishing 3 tremendous books. The first of those is your book, The Beginner's Guide to False Flags. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about that book?
If you were wondering how we ended up at this point in our history and everything that's going on, Beginner's Guide to False Flags takes you from the beginning of the country until the election of Donald Trump, Charlottesville, the rise of the communists, and the Russian collusion hoax. The rape of Delaware County is a story in which a United States veteran defended himself against a known drug felon, only to find out that the local police were in on it. Crooked prosecutors, and one of those prosecutors was actually arrested coming back from an island in the Caribbean in a murder-for-hire plot. And it just details just how corrupt one small county can be. And in the book, I said that Delaware County, Oklahoma in the past was a safe haven for outlaws from Missouri and Arkansas. And what the reader will find out, it still is. Blood in the Ozarks, expanded second edition, 156-year-old government cover-up in which out-of-control Union officer led his men to murder men, women, and children at a Christmas gathering in the Missouri Ozarks. I founded Foothills Media in 2019 because I'm dedicated to bringing you the truth.
Thank you, Clint. I know that our listeners are going to want to check out Foothills Media, so tell them how they can do so.
Well, you can visit us at foothillsmedia.net, and that will take you to our website where you can browse the books, read our blog posts, and catch up on news that you won't find anywhere else in the mainstream media. foothillsmedia.net.
Maybe you've noticed that the lighting here in my office has been corrected the last few videos. You'll notice that the lighting was horrendous, and here behind me there were, call it splotty, they weren't shadows so much. It was just bad looking, nasty blotches of light. And you can see that we have corrected that there. You can see, let me back out of the way here. You can see I got a lampstand. There we go. A lampstand back there. And then a lampstand over there. And so you can see that we've corrected the lighting in here. Let me kind of show you how we've done that. You look at this video here and you see these two lampstands here. They have shelves on them. I can put pictures on them. They're very decorative. Bought them at Walmart for $29 a piece. But look at the bulbs that are inside there. And you'll see how that bulb just screws right down into that globe there. And they're these. Beyond Brights. They advertise these as garage lights. And by the way, this is not a paid product placement. This isn't a commercial. I'm not getting paid to tell you about these. I just think that they're awesome. I stuck one of these up in my attic. I stuck it in the light socket there. And my attic is like 5 times brighter than it was with the regular fluorescent bulb that used to be up there. And these things, they sell them at places like Walmart and the As Seen on TV store and Lowe's for like $39. But go to Ollie's. If you have an Ollie's anywhere nearby, $14.95 at Ollie's. Man, these things are great. Got them in the attic, got them in the garage, and as you can see there, I put them in my light fixtures, and they're just doing a great, great job. And so it's corrected the lighting in here, and I'm very happy with this. Anyways, what I want to do here is I'm going to play another commercial and come back after this commercial. I have another Timex for you. This Timex I'm not going to give a bad review to. If anything, this is another retro watch. It's another vintage look-alike timepiece. It's another, call it a recreation, another bit of the Wayback Machine, if you will. But we'll have this other Timex that we'll be talking about here in minutes, right after this commercial for a great book that I enjoyed reading, and I know you'll enjoy reading it too. One of our big sponsors here on the Poor Boys Horology podcast is TBR Magazine, the Barnes Review magazine, and one of the contributing editors at the Barnes Review is my good friend Harold Scharnhorst, Harold Hestovich Scharnhorst. Harold is someone who I have enjoyed interviewing several times on both of my radio shows, and you know, if this weren't a horology podcast, I would interview him right here on this show as well. But Harold had a tremendous story to tell. When he was a little boy, his dad basically raised the army that repelled the Nazi invasion of Norway during the Second World War. And so Harold grew up with a dad who was basically the commander of the Norwegian Armed Forces. He was the leader of the Norwegian Underground. And then when the war was over, Harold and his family immigrated here to the United States. And Harold ended up enlisting in the United States Army. He ended up working some very interesting jobs. Currently, he is a professional photographer, writer, and broadcaster living in the state of Idaho. And he took all of his story and he wrote it down in a 470-page book. And this 470-page book has over 300 photographs. And the book is called An Immigrant Remembers. Harold sent me a copy of this book about 2 years ago, and I read it, and the story was fascinating. I could not put it down. An Immigrant Remembers. And you'll want to get your hands on this book. You really will. And you can do so. Of course, you see it on the screen, the cover An Immigrant Remembers by Harold Hestovich Scharnhorst. And you can go to Harold's blog, www.halsharnblog.blogspot.com. That's www.halsharnblog.blogspot.com. That's up on your screen right now. You can email Harold homefrontbooks@alpinemontana.com, or you could go to Harold's Facebook page. Again, all of these contact informations are on your screen, or just mail $30 to Homefront Publishing, P.O. Box 55, Moyie Springs, Idaho 83845. Again, it's on your screen. You want to read this tremendous dynamic book, An Immigrant Remembers. It was a story that as I was reading this book, I just couldn't put it down. And you won't be able to put it down either. And so you'll want to read this great story, An Immigrant Remembers by Harold Hestovich Scharnhorst. Go back, hit rewind, hit pause, so that you can get your hands on this contact information and order a copy of this great book, An Immigrant Remembers by Harold Hestovich Scharnhorst. You're looking at the Timex M79. This is a 1970s retro design at Timex. It is a newly manufactured watch. This is not new old stock. These are newly manufactured watches that are designed to have a 1970s retro feel. They have an automatic movement in them. Timex also makes a quartz version. If I were to purchase this watch, I would purchase the automatic version, of course. And it has a seagull movement in it, a Chinese-made seagull movement in it. A great movement, great mechanical automatic movement. And it's a 40mm stainless steel case with a bracelet, stainless steel bracelet, and a stainless steel clasp. It's a diver model. It's got the stainless steel bezel there with the metal insert. And it's just a beautiful looking watch with a day-date complication. If you're looking for a gift to give to your host, I would love for you to give me the Timex M79. Email me, poorboyshorologypodcast@AOL.com. The address is down there on the bottom of your screen, and we'll make arrangements for you to mail that to me. Otherwise, maybe you have another watch that you would like to see me review here on the Poor Boys Horology Podcast. If you mail me your watch, I'd be more than happy to review the watch and then mail it back to you. So you would get your watch back. You wouldn't be giving me the watch necessarily. I would be happy to mail a watch back to you. I guess call it a loaner. I know Jody over there at the Just More Watch channel does a lot of reviews on people's watches who they loan to him for the review. I'd be happy for you to loan me a watch in such a capacity as well. By the way, I'd also like to thank Jody for some of the images of that PACMAN T80, that crappy looking piece of crap that we reviewed earlier in today's show. Anyways, the M79, a beautiful timepiece, and I'm sure you would be very happy with it. You see here, we have a picture here of where you can buy it on eBay. It's available in other places as well. And so we're going to have one more commercial here. It's going to be a conversation between me and my personal physician, Dr. William G. Von Peters. We're going to be talking about a product that I personally use and that I can personally testify to the fact that it helps me manage pain. So if you deal with pain, pay attention. And then we'll have our closing segment here in just a minute. I've got on the phone with me today Dr. William Von Peters, and Dr. Von Peters has been my doctor for the last, I guess, about 10 years now. And Dr. Von Peters, I was complaining about knee pain here a few weeks ago, and you gave me some stuff that you called knee formula, and I just have to say that the knee pain has subsided. My son was complaining of knee pain because being a baseball catcher, all the squatting, his knee was making noises it shouldn't have made. I'll just put it that way. And so I started sharing it with him, and he has said that he feels a lot better now. So tell us about the knee pain, and tell us why our pain is going away.
Well, actually, the product is a homeopathic formula that I developed originally because my wife had knee pain. And so she was complaining about it, and so I sat down, did the research, put the formula together, and so she was kind of the guinea pig on the thing for it was for her. What it basically does, it's designed both to deal with pain in the knees as well as dealing with swelling of the tissues around the knee, where you get the water on the knee and that kind of thing. It's also very effective in taking water from throughout the body as well as such around the ankles. The caveat on it is that if a woman is breastfeeding, she should not take it because it will actually dry up her milk because it's that effective. It'll pull the water out of her breast so the milk dries up. Other than that, there is no caveats on it or problems, counterindications, or anything like that. It's just a homeopathic electropotency designed for the knees to, as I said, to deal with both pain and the swelling.
So I want to ask you one more question, because I was always under the impression that having water around your joints had a cushioning effect and was a good thing, but yet I guess you could say the science or the thinking behind your product is doing the exact opposite.
Well, you want obviously you need some fluid in your knees and whatnot because it should be there. The problem, of course, is that when they begin to swell, the tissues begin to swell around it and so forth, you're getting excess fluid that has to be taken off. That's why many times if someone goes to the MD, they'll actually try and drain that fluid off the knee. Okay.
And so tell us, how does someone who's listening to us today, how do they get their own?
Yes. The website is www.lifequest, QUEST, formulas, plural, .com. lifequestformulas.com, and just look up knee formula, and we'll get it shipped out to you.
All right. Well, I definitely want to encourage all of our listeners to try the knee formula because I've tried it myself, and I can be a first-hand testimonial that it works. www.lifequestformulas.com. Closing thoughts here. You're looking at a picture of my SKMEI S-shock. This is a Chinese military issue watch. You can get these things on Amazon and eBay for anywhere from $8 to $12, and they are just a knockoff of the G-Shock, basically. But let me tell you, this watch seems to be indestructible. The last time I reviewed this watch, I talked about how I was out in the woods there, clearing some forest and burning some stuff and going into the fire. And I figured if I was going to ruin a watch, I was going to ruin the $8 watch and not a watch that I cared about. Well, I went back into the fire again with this watch. I burned my eyebrows off. I burned part of my beard off. I burned the hair off my arms. My shirt caught fire and I had to rip it off. Guess what, folks? The watch survived. Man, my shirt didn't survive. My beard didn't survive. My eyebrows didn't survive. The watch survived, okay? Might just be the best $8 that I ever spent. So anyways, if you're ever considering one of these Chinese military watches, one of these cheap SKMEIs, one of these S-shocks, maybe you don't want to drop the money on a G-shock. I shower in this thing. I've swam in it. So the waterproofness seems to be there. The manual does say not to push a button underwater, and dare I say I've never tried to do that. I don't suggest that you do it either. But these watches are waterproof, and they now appear to be fireproof. So anyways, I want to give this watch a glowing review because it has deserved it. Thank you for watching this month's Poor Boys Horology Podcast. And I'll be back with you again, same time, same place again next month. We'll have another great show for you. Until then, God bless.
Poor Boys Horology Podcast is an ED Media production.